ladies and gentlemen, to the She Knows Pro Football podcast. Once again, I'm Alice, a.k.a. the NFL Girl. And once again, I got my good friend Dominick here with me. Dominick, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a long off season, but we're only a week away from games, so it's time to get started.
Hey, you guys, can you believe the summer is over and the NFL season is just 1 week away? I can't believe it either. I feel like time is flying past us. You guys, I'm so excited for this season, though, because, man, some of these rookies that I've seen, I'm very impressed. So let us get started. This is our preseason prediction podcast. We got some way too early 2022 predictions to give to you guys on who we think will win divisions, awards, things of that nature. So let's get started. Starting off with who we think is going to win our division. Starting with the AFC North. Dominick, who you think is going to win the AFC North this year?
Well, I know they had a lot of injuries last year, and apparently they're already dealing with injuries this year. I don't know if you heard that the Baltimore Raven, their mascot, tore his ACL during the last preseason game, so they have to find a new mascot for this year. So that's not a good start for them. But I do think that Lamar Jackson's going to have a bounce back here. I will never root for as much as last year I was always saying that everybody has a soft spot for the Cleveland Browns. I no longer have a soft spot for the Cleveland Browns. They can kiss my butt. I'm never going to root for them again. I do think the Bengals are very good again. I think Pittsburgh's going to be a lot better, but I do think that the Ravens are going to win this division.
So for me, this was a toss-up, and it was between the same two teams that Dominick is talking about, the Ravens and the Bengals. I have no love for the Browns. I do not wish them well. I have no respect for them either. The Steelers, I'm just not real comfortable with their quarterback situation, even though I love Chase Claypool, and even though I love Najee Harris, just not real comfortable in that QB spot. Ravens are minus poor Poe. You know, Poe, get well soon. I wish them well this season, but I'm still sold on the Bengals right now. I think that they didn't lose any significant players. They didn't necessarily add any additional players that, you know, took them over the top or anything, but they're healthy. They're looking good. I love this combination of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I know that the Ravens are back healthy, so it's going to be a toss-up between the two of them at the end of the day. Me personally, I'm going to take the Bengals here.
I do like that the fact that the Bengals went out and really addressed their offensive line, which was mentioned about 9,000 times in the playoffs, how bad it was last year. So they did go out. They got Luau Dang, I forget what his name is now, from Dallas, and they got a couple other players, Kappas and everything. So they really worked on that line. I think it's going to help them, and it's really going to help Joe Mixon.
Absolutely. That's what was the crux of their problem last year, and addressing that should take them over the top. Maybe they can win it all. We'll see. Moving on to the AFC South. Now, this is a tougher division to pick, but Dominick, I'm trusting you here. Who you got winning the AFC South this year?
Well, the Tennessee Titans won it last year. They had the number 1 seed, even with Derrick Henry being out for the year. He did come back in the playoffs, but it didn't help them. They still lost in the first round. I do think they're going to take a step back this year, though. They don't have A.J. Brown anymore. Traylon Burks, so I really loved coming in because he's from Arkansas, and I'm an Arkansas fan, hasn't looked good in the preseason. So they're going to have a tough time with their wide receivers. They did just give Derrick Henry a new contract today, gave him a $2 million raise, making him the highest paid running back in the league this year. But they also lost their best defensive end in Landry today. He tore his ACL in practice today, so he's out for the year now. So it's going to be very tough for them. So I'm going to go with the Colts here. I love Matt Ryan this year. Michael Pittman is going to be a machine, and we know what Jonathan Taylor can be. Their defense is going to be very good as well, so I do like them. And I can actually see Tennessee finishing 3rd here behind Jacksonville.
I love the fact that Derrick Henry is coming back healthy this year, but the loss of A.J. Brown is so significant for their team because he was their solid deep threat WR1. I am trying to still wrap my mind around that trade, but whatever, that's a discussion for another day. But the losses that they've suffered are significant, and they're really going to hurt that team. The only team, like you said, the only team really that I could be sold on fully, I guess, is the Colts, because Texans, I don't know what they have. I'm not saying that Davis Mills doesn't have the potential to become something valuable, but as of right now, I haven't seen enough to make that call. The games that I saw of him last year, he was good. He wasn't great, but so we'll see if he can make that step under Lovie Smith. Jaguars, again, same thing. I don't know what I'm fully going to get in Trevor Lawrence. I'm hoping that Doug Peterson can do more with him, and them having Travis Etienne back this year at their running back position will help him as well. That team has so much talent and potential that needs to be drawn out. And I'm hoping that that's what Doug Peterson can do for them, because there's too much talent there for them to be struggling the way they have, in particular after last season and the whole fiasco that happened there. I wish them well, but at the end of the day, I'm like you. I think the Colts can do it. I think Matt Ryan has the potential to do so much there with that pool of talent that he has, with the running back that he has in Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, I guess here I'm going to have to give it to the Colts. I was leaning towards the Titans, but you're right. With a lot of those injuries and the loss of A.J. Brown, that's going to be significant for them. So going with the Colts here. Moving on to the AFC East, Dominic, who are you picking here to win this division?
Yeah, this one's, I think, the easiest one for me to pick out of the entire AFC. It's going to be the Bills. I just think they have the best team. Even in the preseason, they played their starters in one game. It was week 2. They played in 6 series and scored 6 touchdowns. They're a machine right now with Josh Allen, with Stephon Diggs. They have James Cook now in the backfield with Devin Singletary. They're going to be great. As long as their defense can hold up, they're going to be very good. I don't trust the Patriots right now. I do like Mac Jones, but I just think they're on a little bit of a downturn. The Jets, unfortunately, I think Zach Wilson would have been their best option, but obviously he's injured now, and it's going to take a while for him to get back. And I didn't think they had a chance anyway. And I'm not as high on the Dolphins as everybody else is. So I think this is the Bills. They can win this even with like 10 wins if they needed to.
Listen, I am 100% with you on the Bills. The rest of this division just hasn't sold me that they can make the plays necessary. Don't get me wrong. I like what I'm seeing with the Dolphins and what Tua has with Tyreek, but I don't know how that's going to pan out over the long haul of the season. We'll see how that turns out for them. Patriots, I'm just not sold yet on Mac Jones. It's too many questions there with that team, and I'm not ready to be in on them. Jets made some good additions as far as their defense is concerned, but I still got questions on that offense. And in particular with Zach Wilson, and the whole injury situation, I can't buy in on them. While the Bills on their defense added Von Miller. I know Trey White is going to be out the first 4 weeks of the season, but that's 4 weeks as opposed to the whole season. Then him coming back and having Von Miller there, are you kidding me right now? Definitely, I got to pick the Bills to win the AFC East. Moving on to the AFC West. Dominic, I'm going to let you go first here because I don't want to spoil who I'm picking. Who are you picking to win the AFC West?
Yeah, I would love to take the Chargers here, but we know what the Chargers do. They always do something stupid. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I love Justin Herbert. He's probably my favorite player in the league right now. So I do hope they win it, but I don't think they're going to. KC's lost a lot. Obviously, they lost Tyreek Hill. They brought in some new receivers and everything, but they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Andy Reid there, and that's the most important thing. Their defense should be better this year. They did lose Tyrann Mathieu, but they're still going to be able to shut down some teams, at least a little bit. It's definitely going to be hard in that division, though, because they probably have the best group of quarterbacks in the entire league is in that division. Russell Wilson obviously is the biggest acquisition of the offseason, going to Denver as the quarterback there. They traded a fortune for him, but they did get their man. They signed him today to a 5-year contract, making him the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL at $49.2 million a year. And the Raiders, I think, as much as I love the connection of Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, I do think they're going to bring up the butt of this division. I'm sorry to say, I do think Denver's going to be third. And then I know it's just the old standard pick, but I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs first.
Listen, I think the addition of Russell Wilson is a game changer for the Broncos. My only question is more or less at the coach position, not necessarily what's on the product on the field. Because I like that they decided to keep Javonte Williams as the RB1. I don't think the loss of Tim Patrick is going to be that significant for them. And I don't think that the loss of one receiver is going to be that significant for them, considering they have other great receivers there, that any one of them could be a WR1. So I think that me personally, and I'm not saying this just as a Broncos fan, I'm saying this because I genuinely have faith that Russell Wilson can bring something to this team. Russell Wilson is playing for something, and that is he wants another ring before he retires. He's in his 30s now. He's getting to that point where you need to start wrapping it up. Not everybody can have the 20-something year career of a Tom Brady. Most of them know that they're getting towards the end, and that includes Matt Ryan, that includes Russell Wilson. All of these ones that are getting up there in age know that they need to wrap it up, and I feel like Russell Wilson knows he is playing for something this year. So personally, as much as I love the Chiefs, and I do, and I love Andy Reid, probably one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, I love Patrick Mahomes. I just feel like Tyreek Hill is such a significant loss. And I get it. I'm not saying that the rookie wide receiver that they added there isn't going to have a significant season. Sky Moore looks fantastic, but not like what I'm saying out of the Broncos right now. So personally, I think the Broncos are going to win the AFC West. Moving on to the NFC, we are going to start with the NFC North. Dominic, who you think is going to win the NFC North?
Everybody loves the Minnesota Vikings here. I just think they're going to be another 9-8 team, just like they always are. I love Detroit here. I do think they're going to go over their win total, but I don't think they have a chance to win the division. The Bears suck. They could be the worst team in the league. They could have the number 1 overall draft pick next year, and they're an easy bet for an under 6 if you're a betting person. So I'm going to have to go with Green Bay here. I know they don't have Devontae Adams anymore, but they still have Aaron Rodgers. They still have Aaron Jones. They still have a very good offense, and what could be the best defense they've had there since 2017. So I'm going to have to go with Green Bay here to win the division.
I want to pick the Vikings. I do. Every year I say I'm going to pick the Vikings, but I'm never sold on what Kirk Cousins can do. And I say that even with the fact that he has Adam Thielen there, even with the fact that he has Dalvin Cook there, even with Jefferson there as his WR2, I don't trust this man. And the Bears, I just don't see enough out of them. They just look out of sorts. When I watch them in preseason, it's something is missing and I'm not real sure what it is. It's not on their defense. I still think the defense is solid, but that offense is missing something. Is it a true WR1? I'm not sure, but I'm not sold on this team at all. I don't know how well. I expect maybe 5 games out of them this season. The Lions, I expect them to do better than they did last season. I don't expect anything spectacular out of them. I'm like you, I got to pick the Packers. And again, I get that the loss of Devontae Adams is significant. And, you're asking Alan Lazard now to be a WR1, which is whoa. But they still got Aaron Jones. So, if you have to lean a little more heavily on Aaron Jones, and that's what you're going to do. And you always can count on Aaron Rodgers. So, got to take the freaking Packers again this year there.
Oh, and that thing missing in Chicago is called talent.
And that too. Moving on to the NFC South. Dominic, who are you going to pick here?
Well, I'm a Saints fan, but I can't go with the Saints here, although I do think that they have a good chance. I do think Tampa Bay is going to win this division. Carolina is not a good team. I think they have a chance to get to 7 wins, but they're not going to get over 500. Atlanta, I think, is going to be fighting with Chicago for the worst team in the league, so they're not going to make a difference here. I think it's basically down to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. I do think Tampa Bay is going to go under their team total of 11.5 wins. I don't think they're going to get to 12 wins this year, but I still think it's going to be enough in this division because it's from what used to be one of the best divisions in the league. Now it's one of the worst divisions in the league, so I'm going to have to take Tampa Bay.
Panthers, the loss of Matt Corral. Matt Corral wasn't going to win this starting position anyway. It was going to be between Baker and Sam Darnold, and Baker won that out, and I'm not impressed by that at all. Just let's start right there. The fact that I don't like the quarterback position. Before we go any further, there you go. When I can't count on your most significant player, I'm not going to pick you. So absolutely not am I picking the Panthers here. The Falcons, Marcus Mariota has fleeting times of seeing that there's something there, but not enough for me to see him. I can't see him going 11-6 or something to that nature. I see him maybe going 9-8 at best, and I'm being generous there. I don't actually see how they could get to that number. Saints, I love this team. I don't know about. Again, for me, it always comes down to the QB position. Am I convinced that Jameis Winston could take this team over the top? I know he has Alvin Kamara there, but it's still Jameis Winston. I'm not fully sold on him. Buccaneers, the fact that Tom Brady was like, I'm going to do this rodeo again. I'm coming back. Let's go. I got to pick the Buccaneers here. Once again, Tom Brady always makes me have to make a different turn than what I originally anticipated. Once he announced that he was coming back, everything went back to me having to choose the Buccaneers. Moving on to the NFC East. Dominic, who are you picking in this division?
Yeah, Dallas has had a lot of injuries, and they always end up being up 1 year and then down a year. They always end up, in a 2-year period, they always end up somewhere around 500. They were good last year, so they're going to be pretty uninspiring this year, so I'm not going to pick them. I do really like the Eagles in this division, so they're going to be my pick. I know it's a hometown thing, but I do really like their defense here, their offense now with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown out wide with Dallas Goedert with a new contract, Jalen Hurts. I really like what they're doing here, so I do love the Eagles team this year. Right now, Dallas is the favorite, but I'm going to take the Eagles. Washington, I can't trust them at all. Their season, it's Carson Wentz lost his last game with the Colts to Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to lose his first game as the Washington quarterback here against the Jaguars in week 1. And I actually like Washington to finish last. And I actually kind of do like the Giants. I think they'll probably finish third. Dallas will finish second, but I do like the Eagles here to go over their 9.5 total. And I think they're probably going to get to about 12 wins.
I absolutely cannot pick the Commanders. I expect the Commanders to finish last in this division. I'm not sold on Carson Wentz. The fact that every team seems to think that they're the team that's going to be able to figure that Carson Wentz puzzle out and, break him open and he's going to become this phenomenal QB. No, who he is who he is. He's a okay QB, and you're going to have to live with that. And the fact that they have him as their starting quarterback is why I can't pick the Commanders. I just don't trust this team, and I don't think bringing Carson Wentz there is going to be the end-all, be-all, cure-all for them. Cowboys, I'm not seeing – Ezekiel Elliott really struggled last year. I'm hoping he has better numbers this year. They still have so many questionable, sloppy plays with them. I just don't know. And the fact that they gave up Amari Cooper, I understand you're all in on CeeDee Lamb, but come on, bruh. You need a WR2, a solid WR2, but whatever. I'm not picking the Cowboys here. Giants still got a few years to go before I'll ever pick them in anything. Definitely got to take the Eagles there because of the addition of A.J. Brown on the other side of Devontae Smith. I think that's really going to open up Jalen Hurts' passing game, give him that deep threat that he needs. It's going to be a fun team to watch this year. Got to pick the Eagles here. Moving on to the NFC West. Dominic, who you picking here?
Hey, this one I think might be the toughest division. I do not like the Cardinals. I think they might have a chance to finish last here. Although Seattle's pretty bad, so I think it's going to be a fight to the bottom for those two. I think this division is going to be figured out whether Matthew Stafford's elbow is all right or not, whether it holds up through the whole year. If it does, I like the Rams to win this division. If it doesn't, I like the 49ers. Stafford's a tough SOB. He played with a separated shoulder before and threw a touchdown. I have a feeling that he's going to play again, wanting to get back to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to have a feeling he doesn't miss the games. So I'm going to say that the Rams win it for a second year in a row.
This is, again, I'm like you. This is a really tough division. And the reason it's tough is because none of them have this breakout quality to them. It's like the Rams and then everybody else. I'll put it to you, especially the Seahawks and the 49ers. I'm not sold on Trey Lance yet for the 49ers. I'm not. I haven't seen anything yet that's made me be like, yo, this is the future for this team. And if the 49ers were sold on him, why the hell did they sign Jimmy G to another deal? That tells me that they're not 100% comfortable yet saying this QB is definitely our future. Listen, they got great players there. They got great receivers there. They got a solid running game. They're gonna be decent team or whatever. But when your QB situation is what it is there in San Francisco, can't pick them. Same thing with Seattle. Goodness gracious. Geno Smith is your starting QB. What has Geno Smith ever shown you that makes you think Geno Smith is a QB1? I haven't seen anything. Not in New York, not in playing the games for Seattle last year, nothing. I haven't seen anything. And now that's the QB1, and behind him is Drew Lock. Can't pick this team. Cardinals, I feel like Kyler Murray has something to play for, and he has Nuke there. If there's any team that I have kind of a feeling could maybe give Rams a little bit of a tough stretch, it would be the Cardinals, simply because I know Kyler Murray has something he needs to prove. He needs to prove he is worth that contract that they signed, and that he was worth them taking out that little clause in there saying that, hey, you got to pay attention and actually do film study or whatever. They put that in there for a reason, and he wanted them to take it out, so they took it out, and it's out. But why would they need to say that? So here's the thing. That team really, really needs to step up this year. I want to pick the Cardinals here because I know Kyler Murray is going to play his ass off, but the Rams are just so much more solid and heavily defined. Yes, they lost some of the players. They didn't bring back OBJ. They let Von Miller go. It's a lot of players that they didn't keep or whatever because it was a one and done type of, we're going to put all our chips on the table and win it all, and they did that. But when it comes to the rest of that division, I don't think any other team stepped up in their place in the offseason. So, yeah, I'm like you. I got to pick the Rams here. And moving on from our division winners, we got to go to our yearly award picks, our NFL honors that come at the end of the season and who we think are going to clean up these awards this coming year. So, Dominic, we got to start with MVP. Who do you think will win the MVP award?
Yeah, if I were, well, I am a betting person. I wouldn't bet on this person because it's not, it wouldn't win you enough money to have it tied up. But I do think that it's probably going to be the favorite, and I do think it's going to be Josh Allen. I think the Bills will be good enough; they'll possibly get the number one seed, and he's going to be a big reason why they do it. This is done before the Super Bowl, the voting and everything before the playoffs, so it's basically just a regular season award. I do think he's going to have the best regular season. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. I don't think you're going to get three in a row. I think Josh Allen's going to get his first one.
I'm picking a dark horse here. It's going to blow people's mind, the person that I'm picking, but I'm picking Derek Carr, and let me explain. That addition of Devontae Adams is going to tear the roof off. I think Derek Carr has needed a solid WR1 that was a deep threat, and he hasn't had one. Not like this. And now he has it in Devontae Adams. I think this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Will they win the division? Probably not. Are they going to be fun to watch? Are they going to be an exciting team to watch? Can they make these games competitive? Look at what they did last year. How many games they won at the last freaking second on last minute plays. They're a hell of a fun team to watch. And they're going to be even more fun now that we got Devontae there. This is going to be a great season for them, I think. Probably the best in a few years. That's just my opinion. Still don't think they'll win the division, though. So, yeah, my dark horse pick there at MVP is Derek Carr.
I do like him as a dark horse. I think there's a good chance he can get some votes.
And moving on to Offensive Rookie of the Year, Dominick, who you think is going to pick this award up?
This is going to be tough, but I'm going to have to say I think I'm going to go with Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints. I really like what he does. He's the career leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns at Ohio State. He's coming in here. He's going to be opposite Michael Thomas, who should be healthy finally. We know that Jameis Winston is going to throw the ball quite a bit. Ollie's going to he's a small guy, so he's going to be in the slot, but he's going to get a lot of usage here. And I think just like, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and everything, I do think that he's going to have that type of season and he could win this thing.
I know I'm going obvious. I really know I'm going obvious here. I'm going with Sky Moore. The Chiefs gave up, they let Tyreek Hill walk. He's over with the Dolphins now. And obviously they're going to need a WR1 that's fast, that's speedy, that can open up the plays. I absolutely think that this is what they need in place of Tyreek. Is he up to the caliber of a Tyreek Hill? Of course not. He's a rookie. Give this kid time. I think if you give him a couple years, he could get up to that level. But for now, I think he could absolutely win Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, I'm going to give it to Sky Moore here. Moving on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. This is my favorite one. Dominick, who are you picking here?
I have a feeling you and I might pick the same person here. I don't know who you're picking, but I saw him on didn't see him obviously, but on Hard Knocks. I just really like him. That division in the NFC North has a good offensive line in Green Bay, but Chicago and Minnesota have a terrible offensive line. So he's going to get to their quarterbacks. He's going to have a monster year here. So I'm going to take number 2 overall pick, rookie Aiden Hutchinson.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the same one I picked, of course. Listen, Kayvon Thibodeau, I wanted to pick him. He's out 3 to 4 weeks. That means he's going to miss a couple games. And I think that he's going to be playing behind the 8 ball when he gets back because of that injury. Sauce Gardner, it's the Jets. I'm sorry. I love Sauce Gardner, but it's the Jets, people. Let's calm down. Absolutely, Aiden Hutchinson, especially playing in that wonky NFC North division. He could put up some numbers this season. So we're dead on right there with that one. Comeback Player of the Year. I kind of struggled with this one. Dominick, who you got here?
This one was kind of easy for me. It was down to 2 players, but one of them we talked about earlier. He came back last year for the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the other one that didn't come back last year for the playoffs. I'm going to say Christian McCaffrey. He's going to stay healthy. We know he's one of the best running backs in the league. Obviously, he was the last person to have 1,000 season for rushing and receiving. He's had over 20 touchdowns before. He's only played 10 games in the past 2 years. I think he's going to play 16 this year. And I just think that they want to give it to him with what he's done the past 2 years, sitting out, but still being amazing when he is in there. He's going to show that he's still amazing. I think they're going to give it to him even on a down Carolina Panthers team.
Me, I'm going with one. I know people are going to kind of get insulted by this. I'm going to give it to Ezekiel Elliott only because his numbers were down so bad last year. And I feel like that this season he could easily get over only because it's in the NFC East division, and I don't like this division, and they get to play Commanders twice. I think that he could do 1,000 yards and maybe 8 touchdowns. I'm being generous here, but I think he can do 1,008. I don't think he'll do more than 8 touchdowns. But absolutely, I think he can do 8 touchdowns because he's a dual purpose back. He can't catch and receive. So 8 touchdowns is a reasonable number. Same thing with 1,000 yards, all purpose yards, absolutely. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Ezekiel this year because I think that he had such a down year last year that anything above 1,000 yards, people are gonna be totally sold on him being a future again. And coach of the year, Dominic, who you gonna pick here for coach of the year?
Well, based on thinking that they're going to finish ahead of the Tennessee Titans, I do think Jacksonville's going to have a good year with what they went through last year with Urban Meyers. If they get up to 8 or 9 wins this year, I think it's a lock that Doug Peterson should be coach of the year. I do think they're going to get to that 8 or 9 win threshold, so I'm going to take Doug Peterson as coach of the year.
I'm going with Todd Bowles. I know. Basically, Tom Brady comes back and it's just hand the keys to him and don't mess it up is your only rule when you're a coach working with Tom Brady. But I think that Todd Bowles has some fresh ideas, has some things that this team can do this season. And if they win that division, my goodness gracious, if they win that division, hands down, he has to win it. Todd Bowles has to win it. That's just my feeling on the situation. With a possibility of there with Sean McDermott getting some votes, but definitely I think Todd Bowles will get it. And Dominic, this is a new award for them, the Fantasy Awards. Who do you think will be a fantasy breakout possibility? We're going to talk about that. First, I want to give you mine of sneaking in here. At wide receiver this year, I think it will be Tyreek Hill because I know what he could do. Obviously, I've seen what he could do previously with the Chiefs and Mahomes, but I think now they're in Miami with Tua and having Jalen Waddle on the other side is really going to open him up this season. I could see impressive numbers out there for him. Easily 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown season. That's just my feeling. Who are you kind of feeling there at the wide receiver position at fantasy?
Yeah, I do like Tyreek Hill. They had a practice last week. Miami did. They had a joint practice with the Eagles before their game last Saturday, and he was torching Darius Slay all over the field. They said he's one of the hardest workers you've seen, even with this new contract and everything. So I do really like that play. I think he's going to have a great year, and I do him as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver this year. If you want somebody that's way lower down the ranks, but people are still loving him, but he's not always being drafted, and he's a rookie, is George Pickens from Pittsburgh. We know what Deontay Johnson can do, but he tends to drop the ball a lot. They need a second guy there. Pickens has had a monster, great preseason. He slipped in the draft because of some maturity issues that people felt he had at Georgia that have been overblown in some senses. So he kind of slid down the draft. He has a mission to prove as well. It's kind of like when Michael Thomas slid down the draft, from Ohio State, ended up coming in his rookie year and having 92 receptions. I think he can have that type of year here with Pittsburgh. We know they're going to run the ball quite a bit, but they're also going to throw the ball quite a bit, and I think he's going to be one of the main recipients of that ball.
And then over on the running back side, now for me, this is going to be a wild one. I know because I haven't seen him on the field yet. He lost his whole rookie season to an injury. It's Travis Etienne with the Jaguars. I'm expecting Doug Peterson to go all in on this team this year. I know he's going to get Trevor Lawrence playing up to speed, and I think Travis Etienne coming back healthy is going to put up numbers. But Dominic, who are you feeling here at the running back position in the fantasy spot?
Yeah, I do like Travis Etienne. I know that Doug Peterson, when he was in Philadelphia, he liked to use that receiver out of the backfield. He's going to be able to do that here again with Etienne. Etienne could have come out of college 2 years ago. He decided to stay to spend another year with Trevor Lawrence. So they had 3 years together on the field. They really have a connection even without last year being involved. So I do really love the Travis Etienne pick there. And if you can get him in like the 3rd round or whatever, I do love him. I'll give you another rookie running back here. I'm going to go with Dameon Pierce, another one that people are really talking about right now. The Houston Texans loved him. They started him in the last game. He had 2 touchdowns in the last preseason game. They ended up releasing Marlon Mack because he was doing so good. They still have Rex Burkhead there, but he's really nothing at this point except some bench fodder. They did bring Marlon back, but he's on the practice squad. So this is going to be Dameon Pierce left, Dameon Pierce right, Dameon Pierce up the middle. He also has some dual threat ability. He's able to catch the ball out of the backfield coming out of Florida. So I really like what he's going to be able to do here with Davis Mills.
Moving on, we got to pick who we think are going to win it all. Dominic, tell me who you think is going to win the AFC.
It's going to be a very tough one. I think this is obviously the harder of the two two conferences, which is a switch from like 10 years ago. I think the final game is probably going to be Buffalo and the Ravens, and I do think that the Ravens are going to be able to pull it out and screw Buffalo out of another trip to the Super Bowl.
I picked the Bills. It's just too easy there on how dominant they're being. And like I keep harping on, the addition of Von Miller is going to be what they needed. Same thing. Look what happened with the Rams when the Rams brought him in. So having Von Miller there, definitely going to make that difference. And then in the NFC, Dominic, who are you picking here?
I would love to say the Eagles here just being a homer, but I can't do it. I do think they're going to be very, very good this year. I just think they're maybe a year away. I'm going to have to go back with old reliable. It's going to be the Bay against the Bay again. This time, Matt LaFleur is not going to make the call. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, and I do think that Aaron Rodgers is finally going to get back to another Super Bowl, and I think that my Super Bowl prediction is going to be the Baltimore Ravens against the Green Bay Packers.
I got picked the Buccaneers here. I know, like you said, it's going to be Bay versus Bay, but I just think that the Buccaneers are going to still get the better of Aaron Rodgers. That's just my feeling in the situation. Again, I think Tom Brady really does want to go out, but he wants to go out on top. And the only way he could do that is to get one more final ring. And that's what I think he's pushing for. And so I've got to pick the Buccaneers here because he's gonna give it everything he got to get that last ring. I don't know why he's so obsessed with getting one more, but that's what I think is going to happen. So definitely picking the Buccaneers here. And that being said, Dominic, who are you predicting to win the Super Bowl?
Well, I know how much you probably love the fact that Lamar Jackson's getting to the Super Bowl, but I don't think it's going to go much further than that. I do like both of these defenses, but I do like Green Bay's defense, especially with J.R. Alexander a little bit more. We'll have to see if Baltimore can pass the ball. I don't know how much they're going to be able to do that. They still don't have great receivers there. Now they have one less with Hollywood Brown now in Arizona, while Nuke Hopkins is on a 6-game suspension. Green Bay, I think, is going to figure it out. They always do. Like I said, I love Aaron Jones. I love Aaron Rodgers. They're probably going to be the two best players on the field when it comes to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to take Green Bay to go into Arizona and beat Baltimore.
I personally, because I picked the Buccaneers Bills, I'm taking the Buccaneers here. And my prediction is that Brady announces his retirement for the final time. This time he seriously means it. He wants to go out on top with another ring, and I think this time it's for real when he is in Arizona and wins the Super Bowl, and he gets to hold that trophy up one last time and be like, I'm out. This is how I wanted to go out. I didn't get to do it last year because we lost. This year, I'm done. I'm done this time. So that's my prediction. Well, you guys, that is all the time that we have for today. Want to thank everybody again for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at TheNFLGirl 320. Dominic, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at EnvisionFF.
You can read more of my thoughts on SheKnowsProFootball.com. Dominic, where can they read your work?
You can read my work on The Athletic, on PhiladelphiaEagles.com, and on SportsbookWire.com, which is part of USA Today.
That's all the time we have, you guys. See you back here next week.